So, good afternoon everyone, we're Edric 4 and we're going to discuss the continuation of Lesson 3, which is the structure of urbanization, politics, and government. So, we have three topics, which first is the two principles of internationalism, global governance, and global peace. So, I am Juliana Taplasan and I'll be the one discussing the first principle of internationalism, which is the liberal internationalism. Para may may knowledge about what is internationalism, I'm going to give a meaning about internationalism. So what is internationalism? Internationalism is a system of heightened interaction between various sovereign states, particularly the desire for greater cooperation and unity among states and peoples. So, what is liberal internationalism? Liberal internationalism is a foreign policy doctrine that supports international institutions, open markets, cooperative security, and liberal democracy. So, liberal internationalism daw, it is a internal relations believes peace can be achieved through cooperations, international law, democracy, and global institutions. So, liberal internationalism is siyang beliefs nga peace is ma-achieve lang siya through cooperation between the countries or states, different states or countries, etc. So, Immanuel Kant is a German philosopher and the first major thinker of this principle. And Kant likened states in a global system to people living in a given territory. So Kant questioned if people living together require a government to prevent lawlessness, shouldn't that same principle be applied to states? So Kant argued that if an individual needs a law or a government to prevent chaos or lawlessness, state international system also need a role or cooperation to prevent war. So he described that international system is a state of nature, meaning that without laws, countries may act selfishly and fight each other. So, state of nature, it is how human being behave in the absence of civil society or how people interacted prior to the establishment of any government or any other social institutions. So, Immanuel Kant described international system as a state of nature, meaning without law, countries may act selfishly and fight each other. Kumbaga, mag-war between countries or states. Kumbaga, chaos siya kasi walang law na mag-prevent sa kanila na gawin yung mga bagay na yon. So, Immanuel Kant argues that countries must give up some total of their freedom in order to a lasting peace. So, kumbaga, in exchange of para ma-peace yung isang countries, they must give up some of freedom. Kumbaga, hindi sila mag-act recklessly or selfishly para kumbaga may law na pagdidependihan nila kung gagawin ba nila yun or hindi or bawal ba yun sa international systems. Yun na yun. So, he believed that a democratic or republican states are less likely to go to war with one another and that international cooperation can gradually lead to global peace. So Immanuel Kant believed that international cooperation can bring a global peace. Kumbaga, if one or more countries or states is cooperate in one another, ga-bring sa harmony and ga-prevent sa war or chaos between that country or states. Kant imagined a world where nations work together under common principles to maintain order and prevent conflict. So Kant suggested if a world where nations work together under common principles to maintain um, order and prevent chaos or conflicts. So overall, si Immanuel Kant, he suggested that, or he believed that in a government international system needs a government to prevent chaos or lawlessness, just like an individual that need a role or anything that can prevent their act na yung mag-act lang sila ng kung ano yung gusto nila even though na bawal yon or against the law. So Kant is suggested that international system have a law or rule that para ma-prevent yung chaos between that countries or states. So let's proceed to second philosopher, is Jeremy Bentham, a British philosopher who coined the word international in 1780 and advocated the creation of international law. So Jeremy Bentham he introduced the term international in 1780, and he supported the development of international law to regulate relationships between states. When we say international law, it is a set of rules and principles of governing the relations and conduct of sovereign states with each other, as well as with international organizations and individuals. So Jeremy Bentham, he introduced the word international in 1780, and he also supported the international law, which is to regulate the entire international system. And also Bentham believed that a countries should follow agreed rules to reduce conflict and promote cooperation. So this international law would govern the interstate relations, and Bentham believed that objective global legislators should aim to propose legislation that would create the greatest happiness of all nations taken together. So Jeremy Bentham his philosophy was based on utilitarianism and ethics. So the greatest happiness of the greatest number. So this means decisions should aim to create the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people in that countries or states. So it applied globally, so laws should benefit all nations together, not just one country. So technically, Jeremy believe that ang objective dapat sa global legislations or law is dapat is ka-aim ni-aim nito yung not just one country yung maka-benefit, dapat all nations are together that benefit that law, specific law. So he believed that international law can create peace and cooperation. So Jeremy Bentham is na-focus siya that countries should follow the rules and in their international system to yung nag-agreed na rules para to reduce conflict and promote cooperation. So we also believe that global legislators should aim to propose legislation or law that would create the greatest happiness of all nations taken together, not only one country that can benefit of that law. So dapat ang that law na gina-regulate dapat na lahat ng country under it or state should be benefited to them. So there is a bonus questions, which is that, do you think having a global government and international law endanger the sovereignty of individual states? So, um, sovereignty means that a state has full control over its own territory and decisions. So, some argue that a global government or strong international law could limit a country's independence because it may be required to follow rules set by a higher authority. However, others argue that international cooperation does not destroy sovereignty at all. Instead, states voluntarily agree to follow international law because it benefits them. So by cooperating, countries can promote peace, economic stability, and global security. So that's why baga sa question na yun, if a global government and international laws endanger ba sa sovereignty of individual states. Some may agree but some may not agree or disagree sila. So, kadepende kasi yon sa yung anong reasons nila, kung bakit ayaw nila or bakit gusto nila yon. So, ang iba nasasabi na ano daw yung international cooperation daw does not literally destroy sovereignty. If if states daw that voluntarily agree to follow international laws because it benefits them or it benefits the country who agree to follow that road. So by cooperating, countries can promote peace and economic stability and also global security. So yung iba naman is global government daw is could limit a country's independence because require siya ng follow the rules by a higher authority. So in conclusion, so liberal internationalism suggests that peace and order can be achieved when states cooperate and follow shared rules. So while this may require giving up some freedom, it can create a more stable and peaceful international system. So kung mag-give up ka man ng some freedom ng isang country, it is worth it because ang kapalit naman ito is yung stability and peaceful of that country.
Hello everyone, my name is Raha Marie Ramirez and I am part of the group 4, the last group. So our lesson is about the structure of globalization. It is a continuation of the two principles of nationalism. My topic is all about Giuseppe Mazzini under liberal internationalism. Now let's proceed to Giuseppe Mazzini. So Giuseppe Mazzini, he is an Italian patriot, a politician, journalist, and activist for the unification of Italy and a spearhead of the Italian revolutionary movement. So his history is very complex, very wide. Yeah. Mazzini is a revolutionary founder of the secret Society of the Young Italy. Young Italy, this was founded by Mazzini in 1831. It is a political movement. Its purpose was to fight for united, free, and republican Italy, because Italy, the history of Italy, those 19th century was divided. So that's why he founded the Young Italy. Mazzini also is a champion of the movement for Italian unity known as the Risorgimento. Risorgimento, Italian for rising again. So Italian in Risorgimento, and in English it's rising again. It is a 19th century movement that led to the unification of Italy. So the unification of Italy means the process of the 19th century when the fragmented states of Italy or the Italian peninsula were brought together as a one nation. So Giuseppe Mazzini, he is the first thinker to reconcile nationalism with liberal internationalism was the 19th century Italian patriot. So, Mazzini argued that free unified nation states are the essential building blocks for a cooperative, peaceful international order. So he envisioned where independent nations, not a divided nation, but one independent nation, fulfilled their duties to humanity through mutual cooperation. So Mazzini was both an advocate of the unification of diverse Italian-speaking mini-states and a major critic of the Metternich system. So Mazzini is an advocate for the unification of Italy because he believed that a single independent nation, again, who shares the same language, culture, history, should form as one nation. Because during his time, the Italy was divided into smaller parts of the Italy. So he concluded, or he believed that having this united independent Italy would give the people the freedom of having their own identity, freedom, national identity, and a stronger political power. The Metternich system, which Mazzini opposed to, is they have different, or Mazzini has a different ideology that oppose the system of the Metternich. So in Metternich system, in which Mazzini really opposed the idea of that system, because in Metternich system, it is a conservative political order or a system that was established in Europe. So this consists or designed by maintaining stability but prevents revolutions and to preserve the monarchies for the reason of to balance the power. In short, it was basically a plan or a conservative plan to maintain or to preserve the old order and block all liberal or nationalist movements or revolutionist movements because of the Napoleonic Wars. Because in Napoleonic Wars, there's revolutions that was made by Napoleon. This resulted in making the Metternich system, which is a very conservative ideology. So Mazzini opposed this idea of the system, the Metternich system, because it opposes his ideologies or his beliefs. Because in his perspective, Mazzini saw that the Metternich system kept the Italy divided, denied people's freedom, and opposed the nationalist and democratic ideals he stood up for or he fought for. So Mazzini believed in a republican government in which there are no rulers in a country or in a state, in which there are no kings, queens, or any hereditary succession, and proposed a system of free nations that cooperated with each other to create an international system. So Mazzini believed that the republican government or the republican system, in which with the elected representatives, would ensure the ethical and moral development of the country or the individuals in that country or state and promote national changes. So Mazzini's idea was that having a free nations or a free state nations should cooperate with each other to build an international order based on liberty and democracy. So in short, or in simple definition, independent nations working together, he believed that it would resulted in good for the humanity. So Mazzini was a nationalist internationalist who believed that free unified nation states should be the basis of global cooperation. He saw the national liberation as a first step or a step towards a just international order. This means that he believed that people must first unite and free their own nation, and then those free nations should work together to free their own or to serve the humanity. So for Mazzini, free independent states would be the basis of an equally free cooperative international system. So Giuseppe Mazzini political vision can be concluded that true progress for humanity should be required both nationalism and liberal internationalism, because he believed that nations were the natural communities through which people could achieve freedom and national identity. He believed that duty of any people was to unite and liberate their own country. However, he also argued that once nations were free, they had a moral responsibility to work together, forming a system of cooperation based on liberty, democracy, and mutual respect. So in this way, Mazzini saw nationalism not as isolation but as the foundation for a broader international order, where independent nations would act in solidarity to advance peace and the progress of all humanity. That's all about Mazzini's history and his political beliefs and visions, and he's all about ideologies on national and liberal internationalism. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Rian May Salota and now I will tackle about Woodrow Wilson. Now, Woodrow Wilson is the 20th President of the United States and one of the most important figures in liberal internationalism. Mazzini influenced the thinking of U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. Mazzini's idea about freedom, nationalism, and cooperation shaped Wilson's views, leading him to become a strong supporter of international cooperation and peace among nations. Wilson saw nationalism as a prerequisite of internationalism. Wilson believed that a nation must first be united and independent before it can work effectively with other countries at the international level. Principle of self-determination. This principle means that every nation has the right to govern itself freely without foreign control and to choose its own political system. Wilson hoped free nations would become democracies. He believed democratic governments would respect international law and cooperate peacefully, helping create a stable global system. The international relations based on law and cooperation. Wilson believed peace could be maintained if nations followed common international laws and worked together instead of using force. Advocate for the creation of the League of Nations. After World War in 1918, Wilson pushed for the League to serve as a place where nations could resolve disputes peacefully through discussions and arbitration. The United States was not able to join the League of Nations. Despite Wilson's support, the U.S. Senate opposed joining the League, preventing the United States from becoming a member. The League was unable to prevent another war. Without strong enforcement power and major countries' support, the League failed to stop the rise of conflicts that led to World War II. The League was practically helpless during World War II. The organization actually lacked authority and military power, making it ineffective and preventing the war's outbreak and escalation. The League as the concretization of liberal internationalism. Even though it failed, the League represented the first real attempt to apply liberal internationalist ideas in global politics.
What is socialist internationalism? It's an ideology promoting global solidarity, cooperation, and unity among working class movements across national borders to oppose capitalism, imperialism, and war. So, Karl Marx. One of the Mazzini's biggest critics was German socialist philosopher Karl Marx, who also an internationalist, but he did not believe in nationalism. Marx believed that any true form of internationalism should be deliberately rejected. Nationalism, which rooted people in domestic concerns instead of global ones. The capitalist class referred to the owners of factories, companies, and other means of productions. So, Karl Marx believed in social internationalism and rejected nationalism because it divides workers by country. He saw society as divided into classes: the capitalist class who owned production and proletariat who worked for them. Marx argued that workers around the world should unite to overthrow capitalism. His ideas later inspired the creation of Social International in 1889.
So bright afternoon, everyone. I am Giselle Tusbrenio, and I will be the one who continue the discussion of Karl Marx international social internationalism. First, we have the battle cry, which the workers, if the world's unite, you have nothing to lose but your change. The famous battle cry is from Karl Marx and Friedrich Engel's book, The Communist Manifesto, published in 1848. And then it's clear, Friedrich Engel's book, it is a German philosopher and a writer and a close friend of Karl Marx. And then si Communist Manifesto, kay mao ni siya ang book, ang pangalan sa book, or mao ni siya it is a short political pamphlet written. Pamphlet means napod, short. It is a short booklet, mura siya booklet nga dira bitaw gina-explain na dira tanan clearly and direct to the point, kung unsay unod ana nga book. The famous battle cry was written during the Industrial Revolution, at a time nga ang factory workers face long hours, low wages, and unsafe ang ilahang working conditions. Daghan o kalabanan sa mga workers during that time had a little freedom, and they were trapped in poverty, while ang mga factory owners of that company become very richer because of the system, because sa bulok na sistema, because sa unfair nga system nga gihatag sa mga workers, gihatag sa mga employees. So that if you compared sa karon, lahi dako kay ang kabag-uhan, dako kay ang bag-o sa karon og sa una sa mga tawo, kay tungod wala pa nabago ang ilang system, wala pa na nabago ang bulok nga sistema. The world nga social internationalism, gikan ni siya sa ideology nga promote og global solidarity, cooperation, and unity in working class movements across national borders to oppose capitalism. Solidarity means mao ni siya ang pag-unite o ang unity and a mutual support within a group, within a society, og na kay usa kasabihan nga all for one, one for all mindset. While capitalism, it means mao ni siya ang economic system based sa private ownership of the means of sa production, like sa mas katong factories, sa mines, sa mga business and other businesses, and also in their operation of profit. And then also si Marx, believe siya nga ang workers should not only fight for better conditions in one country, pero also we should work together, the workers should work together not just only their nations, not just only their country, but also in the whole world, also globally to change the systems. Because sa word na unite, it should be whole. It should be whole. It should be the whole world nga mag-unite together, because dili siya matawag nga unite kung isa ka nations or isa ka country ra, because mao nga na sa gitawag nila o sa ila sa saying nga no man is an island, walay mabuhi nga kitara, walay mabuhi nga mag-inusara. Every country is ga kinahanglan og another country para maka-survive, para maka-survive, maka-exist sa world. Then, gi-create ni Karl Marx ang katong battle cry, which is ang isa ka sentence. Gi-create na niya, it's whether it's a quote or it's a slogan. Gi-create na niya because for the readers nga mabalaan nga mabalaan ang unsay unod ana nga book katong Communist Manifesto, mao na siya ang book. So para mabalaan sa mga readers kung unsa ang unod sa ana nga book, and para interested daw sila nga bubasa, interested sila balaan kay tungod na sila idea nga nakuha from the book, which is ang quote. The famous battle cry word itself, it means nga workers should join together because they have nothing to lose under the unfair capitalist system. So dira siya nakuha nga words, ang workers should join together because of the capitalist system. And then also gidungag ni Karl Marx nga everything to gain if they create a foster society. The lesson I've learned from Karl Marx's idea is that ang economic system during that time has a big impact and affects sa kinabuhi sa mga workers, kinabuhi sa tao during that time. And then si Marx is gina-encourage niya ang mga tao nga dili magpakahilom or to be not quiet, but to question, dapat i-question ang unfair system and to become aware of how power and wealth distributed in society. And even today, sa karon nga generation, ang iyang idea dako kay tabang sa atoa, because without that during that time, kung wala naagapan kato nga bulok nga sa sistema, walay nakaharang ato, walay nakausab ato. Siguro it's the same ang treatment, it's the same ang system sa una ug sa karon. So yeah, daghan ako kay siya help not just only their nations, not just only their country, but in the whole. And it's his ideas helps individuals nga para maintindihan sa mga sa ilaha ang labor rights, ang social, and not just only also the social movements, pero also sa unsa ka importante ang the importance of protecting workers from exploitation. Exploitation means ang pag-threat sa isa ka workers o pag-threat sa isa ka tao unfair, dili fair one to another. Next is ang pag-oppose ni Karl Marx sa nationalism, because they believe na maka-prevent ni sa unification of the world's workers. So, ang reason nga nang nag-disagree si Karl Marx sa nationalism kay tungod natuo manggod siya nga magiging hinder, magiging barriers sa ang nationalism sa pag-unite, sa pagkakaisa sa mga workers, not just only in one country but in other country. And also, they said that ang workers kono in every country have the same problems. Yeah, I agree. It is the problem is not just only in small country, in one country, but in multiple country. They wanted that ang workers need to work across all countries, not just in one nation but in whole. Next is si Marx died in 1883, but his followers soon sought to make his vision concrete by establishing their international organization. After he died, ang iyang mga followers wanted to continue his idea para ma-continue, para to make them real. And then, ang iyang mga followers was created international groups to bring workers from different countries, not just only one countries, two countries, but in different countries, in multiple countries, together to fight for his idea of, for his vision of fair society. In one of famous group they started it was called First International or International Working Men's Association. It's established in 1864. As what I've said, after Marx died, ang iyahang mga supporters o iyahang mga followers, they were organized, they were helped together to organize workers from many countries to unite and to continue his idea about fairness and workers' rights in every country. Next, the Social International or the SI was a Union European Socialist and a Labour parties established in Paris in 1889. Although short-lived, the SI's achievements included the declaration of May 1 as a Labor Day and the creation of an International Women's Day and an 8-hour workday. The Socialist International or the SI, mauna sila ang group of socialists and workers parties in Europe. It was started in Paris in 1889. Even though nga ilahang pag-start or ilahang pagsugod, wala siya bitaw nagdugay, wala sila nagdugay, pero dako sila na obra during that the small time na anuhan nila, which is naka-declared sila og May 1 as a Labor Day, and then daghan sila na obra, naka-help sila to create an International Women's Day, nakahatag pud sila, naka-create pud sila 8 hours nga work day for workers, and also they works is naka-improve din siya, dako siya kay tabang ka, because they can improve the rights of the workers across nations. So the people in the Socialist International or the SI were leaders, sila ni ang leaders, and members of socialist and labor parties from different European countries. Sila ni ang international, the Socialist International, sila ni ang workers, socialists, and activities who wanted or gipadayon nila ang idea nga from ni Karl Marx, they wanted to better rights and conditions for workers. And they organized together to fight for things like sa Labor Day, especially sa women's rights and sa fair treatment for everyone, for our workers, for our employees. Next, let's move on to global governance. See, global governance is a purposeful order that emerges from institutions, processes, norms, and formal agreements, and informal mechanisms that regulates actions for a common good. So, si global governance in general, mauni siya ang kung paano ang countries, kung paano ang groups or ang society mag-work, mag-unite together to solve world problems. It comes from sa mga rules, sa mga agreements, sa mga organizations to make our world run more fairly and safely. In short, global governance is a cooperation between nations and groups, between nations and society to do what is the best for the world.
I am Rielin Shasan and I will going to continue the report of Ms. Giselle about governance. Global governance is the way the world deals with problems that affect many countries at the same time, especially problems that no single country can solve on its own. Because there is no world government, global governance works through cooperating among countries, international organizations like United Nations, private companies, and civil society groups. Its main aim is to provide global public goods such as peace, security, economic stability, environmental protection, and public health, which is benefit everyone. It operates at international, regional, and transnational levels and involves both public and private sectors working across national borders. Global governance is based on shared rules, norms, and values rather than strict laws, and these are encouraged through agreements, standard financial incentives, and moral responsibility. One of its most important rules is managing global risk by coordinating actions to prevent or reduce the impact of serious threats like wars, climate change, and pandemics, and economic crises that could cause widespread harm to people and the planet.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Aipel Tigualo and today I will discuss about the methods of the global governance. Harmonization of laws among states. So what does this means? So this means countries agree to make their national laws more similar so that the rules are consistent across borders. It helps reduce confusion, conflict, and unfair advantages between countries. For example, sa European Union member in trading laws, they harmonize product standards like food safety and consumer protection so goods can move freely across countries. The international regime. So these are the set of rules, norms, and agreements that guide how states behave in specific issue areas. They are usually created through treaties or formal agreements. So, for example, the WTO. Sets of rules for international trade and settles trade dispute between countries. So, the next one is the global policy issue networks. So, these are informal networks made up of government, international organizations, NGOs, experts, and sometimes businesses. They focus on solving specific global issues by sharing knowledge and influencing policy. For example, during the pandemics like COVID-19, the World Health Organization, the government, and NGOs work together to provide or make something. And And then the hybrid institution that consists state and private sectors. Hybrid institutions combine the authority of government with the resources and expertise of private companies or civil society organizations. So, they help implement policies more efficiently. So, for example, is the Gavi or Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. So, this brings together government, World Health Organization, UNICEF, and private foundation to improve access to vaccines. So the concept of global governance consists of two concepts. The first one is the legitimacy of authority. So legitimacy is about who has the right to make decisions and rules. So at the national level, government are considered legitimate because they are based on social contract, which is citizens vote, pay taxes, and obey laws in exchange for protection and services. So, problem at the global level, there's no global social contract. Ordinary citizens do not directly choose or vote for institutions like WTO, IMF, or World Bank. Yet, these institutions make decisions that strongly affect people's life. So, because of this, many people question whether global institutions truly have authority to govern. So the next concept is the democratic values. The democratic value include representation, participation, accountability, and transparency. So the problem in global governance is that decision-making power is often unequal. Wealthy or powerful countries have more influence. Citizens, especially from poorer countries, have limited participation. So, because of this, it creates gaps between democratic ideals and how global governance actually works. So, the absence of global social contract. So, a social contract is an agreement between people and governing institution that justifies authority. So, at the global level, people are not clearly defined as global citizens. There are no global election or shared political identity. Institutions operate mainly through agreements between states, not people. So, without this contract, global government lack a strong foundation of public legitimacy. So, global governance and democratic governance. So, as you can see in the last slide or last sentence in the second bullet, when the passage says global governance implies democratic governance, it means that for global governance to be considered legitimate, it should reflect democratic principles just like national government. However, in practice, global governance does not fully meet democratic standards. In the last bullet, the statement argues that global government depends heavily on three types of actors. So the first one is the scientific and professional bodies. The second one is the state bureaucratic agencies, and the third one is the voluntary organizations or like the NGOs and private groups. The problem is that none of these actors are democratically elected or based on equal public participations. Because of this, people question whether global governance truly respects democratic values. So, scientific and professional bodies. These are groups of experts like scientists, economists, doctors, and engineers that create standards, rules, and procedures. Their authority comes from expertise, not from being chosen or selected by citizens. So, why does it raise concerns? So, experts are not elected. Ordinary citizens have little say in decision making. So, decision may affect millions of people. So, the second one is the bureaucratic agencies of the states. These are government departments and officials that implement global policies at the national level. They are usually appointed, not elected. So, why does it raise concern? Citizens elect politicians, not bureaucrats. Policy implementation happens from far public scrutiny. Decision making can feel distant and unaccountable. So next is the voluntary organizations. This includes the NGOs, private companies, and advocacy groups that help monitor compliance and influence policy. Why so? Why does it raise concerns? So NGOs are not elected. They may represent specific interests, not the whole population. Some have more funding and influence than others. So why does these things create democratic problems? So democratic values require representation, so people can choose decision makers. Participation, people can influence decision making. And equality, all voices matter equally. So global governance often relies on experts instead of voters, bureaucrats appointed or hired instead of elected representatives. So, and NGOs instead of general public. So this creates tension between efficiency and expertise versus democratic legitimacy. So, because of this, global governance relies on non-elected actors to make rules, implement policies, and monitor compliance. People question whether it is compatible with democratic values. While it may be effective, it is not fully democratic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sophia Maria Rosa, and I will discuss my topic today. The United Nations, or UN, is the main global governance body founded in 1945 to prevent future wars. Ang United Nations naobra ang United Nations after World War II para makatabang sa ibang na countries to work together o para ma-avoid nila ang another major war. The UN has 193 member countries and works to maintain global peace through its key organ like the General Assembly and Security Council. Ang UN, ang United Nations, di ka na sila sa 193 ka countries. Ang ilahang job is to keep peace and handle all the international problems. The United Nations expanded its role to include development and stability highlighted by the Sustainable Development Goals launched in 2015. Ang United Nations also works to improve people's lives by supporting development and stability worldwide. Other global institutions like the World Bank and IMF help manage the global economy but are often criticized for increasing inequality. Ang mga other organizations like the World Bank and IMF help the global economy but they are often criticized.
Good morning, everyone. I am Alessandra Don M. Tridoso, and today I will be discussing about global governance, specifically on intermediary bodies. And what are those? So, global governance works through intermediary organizations or bodies. So, these organizations act as intermediary or middle helpers between countries. So, ang intermediary bodies since there is no world single government nga naga-govern sa aton cooperate ang mga organizations para mag-help kung ano na daw may problema da. So, regional bodies are one of the examples. So, regional dira lang bala sila ga-cooperate sa amo lang na nga lugar, regional cooperation. So, regional bodies coordinate countries in the same area. So, these are the groups of countries located in the same region that works together on shared problems like trade, security, and health. So, since amo na gani, lapitay lang sila, same lang pud na ila problema. So, mas nami kung mag-cooperate sila para mas dali ma-solve ang problema. So, some initiatives are led by powerful countries. So, some ko nga organizations, no, ang nagalad sila is ang mga countries nga baskog. For example, ang NATO or North Atlantic Treaty Organization is led by the USA. And China's Belt and Road Initiative, no, sa pangalan pa lang na China's Belt, no, syempre ang China ang naglad sa ila. So, others focus on defense or economic cooperation. So, just like I said kagina nga, ang NATO, no, ga-focus na sila more on sa defense. So, this was shown after the September 11 attacks na dito sa USA when NATO supported the United States. So, and then, kung ang NATO, more on about sila sa defense, no, more on sila sa ang naman niya, ang China's Belt and Road Initiative, more on naman sa economic. So, China's Belt and Road Initiative builds roads, ports, and railways in many countries to improve trade and influences. So, next. Okay. Some bodies do not make laws, no? Hindi man gid guro tanang organization arang mahatag lang da kung anong regulations, mahatag lang da kung ano ang mga rules, kung anong himuon dapat. No, some bodies, no, some organizations, no, nag-arang do discussion group lang. For example, groups like the Group of 20 and the Group of 7 bring together major economies to discuss global issues. So, during the 2008 global financial crisis, the Group of 20 helped countries coordinate economic actions to stabilize the world economy. So, another example is the World Economic Forum. So, it brings together political leaders, business leaders, and experts to discuss issues like climate change, inequality, technology, So, diriya, hindi tanan nga organizations, naga-discuss lang na di sila. Pero, even though, wala siya ga-make sa law, ga-discuss lang. So, ang mga discussion naman din nila ga-influence naman siya sa future policies. So, another example is, they influence global norm and standards. So, other organizations naman, gina-influence kung ano ang global norms and standards. For example, ang INET. So, the Internet Engineering Task Force creates technical rules that allow the internet to function worldwide, such as how is data between devices. So, diri naman sila nagahimo sila rules kung anong dapat himuon naton bala. So, for example, to kagina tong ang IETF. So, silang gahimo sang technical rules kung ano nga ton himuon sa internet. So, sa internet, or na siya, kung paano bala naton himuon worldwide. So, another example is the World Wide Web Consortium. So, sila naman silang gaset standards for the websites. For example, ang HTML, and how the websites work. Para bala, kung ano bala ang, for example, paano mag-work ang website sa Philippines, same man po to kung ano nga work dito sa USA nga websites. So, same lang. So, sila para masunod balatanan, first balatanan ang So, another is the global governance. So, global governance is essential but complex. So, to summarize, global governance exists because countries need to cooperate in a world without a world government. So, different intermediary organizations handle different tasks. Just like sa atong region sa atong atong ano arang no waar ba lang ga ano lang ga discussion lang da sila and another set standards ang iban da ga buligay para sa trade ang iba naga defend no so muna some focus on regional cooperation, some on security, some on economics, and some are setting ideas and technical standards because this system is complex and divided. So, nag-question, may isa ka organization nga nag-question kung paano ni naton mas improve ang amunina nga intermediary bodies naga-cooperate for world governance. So, by understanding this organization, it helps us better understand how the world works today. So, that's it. I hope may na-learn ka mo, no? Thank you for watching.
Right morning, this is Kyle Valdivieso. I will going to report about the global peace. Global peace is more than just the absence of war. It is an ideal state of harmony and cooperation between all people and nations. Think of it as a world where safety is the standard, not the exception. There are two pillars of peace. First is negative peace, simply stopping the fighting, no active war or violence. Next is positive peace, building the good stuff that prevents war from starting. This includes social justice, economic fairness, and universal respect for human rights. In our interconnected world, peace is a foundation for everything else. Without it, we cannot effectively solve global challenges like climate change, poverty, or health crisis. Global peace aims to minimize human suffering. The ultimate goal is a peaceful coexisting where disputes are settled through diplomacy and dialogue rather than fear and conflict. When showing your slide, point to image of the hands holding the earth. Mention that peace is not just the job of leaders, it is a collective responsibility that starts with how we treat one another every day. Thank you.
Bright morning everyone, I'm Tiffany Shane Jason and I will be discussing about peace dimensions. Peace must be understood in all its dimensions, theoretically differentiate as first, the personal or mental peace, the inner state of calm or tranquility. Mental peace reveals a state of unshakable quiet and composure which is achieved through the inculcation of such creative virtues as friendliness, compassion, mercy, moderation, modesty, forgiveness, nonviolence, love, etc. This is where it all begins. It's that inner state of calm and unshakable quiet. It's not just being silent, it's about practicing virtues like compassion, forgiveness, and modesty. If we aren't peace with ourselves, we can really spread it to others. Second, social peace, the state of social justice and development. No society could remain peaceful due to the current problem, terrorism, unemployment, communal and ethnic riots, party politics, and other internal disputes. Social peace, this moves from the individual to the community. Social peace is about justice and development. The slide points out that the things like unemployment, riots, and party politics disrupt this. Basically, if a society isn't fair, it isn't peaceful. Third, peace at a national level or national state of stability, progress, and freedom from civil disorder. National peace, this is peace at the country level. It's defined by stability and progress. A nation has peace when it is free from civil disorder, meaning the government and the citizens are working together in a stable environment. Fourth, international peace or peaceful relation among all nations. International peace, this scales up to how countries treat one another. It's all about maintaining peaceful relations between nations ensuring that global neighbors respect each other's boundaries and rights. Fourth, international peace or peaceful relation among all nations. International peace, this scales up to how countries treat one another. It's all about maintaining peaceful relations between nations, ensuring that global neighbors respect each other's boundaries and rights. And lastly, global peace, therefore, is peaceful coexistence of all existent. Global peace, this is the big picture. It is the peaceful coexistence of all existent. It's the idea that everything on earth, people, nations, and nature exists in a state of total harmony. In summary, peace isn't just one thing, it's a chain reaction. It starts with a calm mind, personal, leads to fair community, social, create a stable country, national, fosters friendly neighbors, international, and ultimately results in a balanced world, global, results in a balanced, ultimate results in a balanced world global. As students, understanding these layers help us see that even working on our own mental peace is actually the first step toward changing the world.
Good afternoon everyone, I'm Vilya Esther Leomel and I will be the next reporter of Group 4. My topic is the continuation of global peace. So, first is the universal responsibility. Peace is not just accidental. It is a duty shared by everyone from world leaders and scientists to ordinary citizens. So, it means that peace doesn't happen by luck or pagperma-perma lang sa mga papel da. It is the responsibility naton tanan nga dapat kinaton nga himuon. It's not just the presidents or ang may mga posisyon lang sa government ang may obligation and ang in charge nga mag-implement sang peace. Every one of us have the obligation. Even ang scientists, teachers, or kita nga mga students, kita nga mga regular people is may ara obligation. Same sina sa pagtrato tas ang iban with respect, no? And we are being responsible for our actions. We are building the foundation that keeps the world stable. Next is the great shift. To achieve peace, we must replace old patterns with new values, from exploitation to equality and autonomy, from secrecy to transparency and solidarity, from greed to meeting human needs. So, to fix this issue, we need to change our operating system. When we say operating system, amon sa ang mga gawit na sang una nga gakos nga magamu ang kalibutan. So, kakson ta to ang mga bad ways and change it para sa peace sa everyone. So, instead of exploitation or paggamit na sa ibang nga tao, we choose equality. We treat everyone fairly. Instead of secrecy and hiding the truth from everybody, we choose transparency and helping each other. So, in this case, not literally nga makakastagit or ma-stop ta ining issue, but at least it helps to mitigate this problem. Next is the peace equals to ecological security. We have reached a crossroads where human survival depends on the environment. Nature is moral, protecting the planet is no longer optional. It is a moral obligation. Environmental health is a global responsibility that transcends nations. So, sang una, ang pag-intindi sang mga tao sang peace is only means no war. Wala lang gamo. But today, we realize that we cannot have peace if the environment or if the earth is dying. So, syempre din man tagakuha sa aton nga mga food, sa aton nga resources, di ba, sa environment man. So this means that protecting environment is our moral obligations, no? Hindi lang balasang ginahimo talang pampalipas oras or pampalipas oras lang natin ang nature. So it is the responsibility of all of us to protect the nature. So even ang iban nga country, no, dapat we must work together para ma-maintain ang healthy sang environment. So it simply says that if the earth is dying, the humanity can survive. Amo man isa ang ginahambal ni Hans Jonas, in so far as the fate of man as affected by the condition of nature, which make our concern about the preservation of nature a moral concern. So ginahambal yang the fate of man is tied to the condition of nature. So it means that if ang nature is unhealthy, so sa aton mangyapon ang kita mangyapon ang maapektuhan. So that's all. Thank you for today.